defining moment for me, even though I've been doing this since I was 12 years old. My first pictures were actually taken through a microscope when I was 12. So I had a very, very informative beginning in terms of it's quite interesting now as I reflect back on my journey. And that is, I had this curiosity with science. And then I took a class in what's called scientific photography at the age of 12. And I took my first pictures through a microscope. And I think the combination of those two things, the visual world, seeing micro photographs, seeing, through a microscope for the first time, and the combination of actually capturing that through a photograph was an overwhelming combination for me. And that's really where I began my journey. I'm going to skip forward in terms of my work because I've been doing this for over 4 decades. And I'm going to bring you into a body of work that I created that really redefined my work as a photographer, because it was the first body of work I created that I described that really had purpose, and that it inspired change just through my photographs. What happened was a one-day assignment came to me. I had been working for Life magazine for several years, and the old art director at Life magazine actually, after Life had folded, called me out of the blue, and he was working for Encyclopedia Britannica at the time. And he said, "Stephen, there's this forgotten place. It's a hospital on Ellis Island, and we need some coverage. And I thought of you." And I thought, what do you mean hospital? I never knew there was even a hospital on Ellis Island. He said it's been abandoned for decades, since 1954. The government left it abandoned with the windows open, and nobody's been in it since. And so that was the impetus. And I say that because as photographers, you never know what's going to open up in front of you. And for me, many of these significant, and I would call transformative, moments in my career came through a editorial project that may have seemed, like something you might say, "Oh, I'll spend a day or two," and I end up spending, 5 years doing it. And so Ellis was that experience. I got to walk through these, what was a 1-hour assignment. I got in because it was filled with asbestos and lead paint. And in that 1 hour, I was hooked and realized that I had to document this place. So this was the hospital. This was called Corridor Number 9. And it became a book that I ended up doing after 5 years of documentation, Ellis Island Ghosts of Freedom. And in doing this work, I began the journey really not knowing what I wanted to photograph, or if I was even going to use color film. So this is one of the earliest pictures, and I almost never show this. It's a photograph that really made me think about what I was feeling. And so much of my work is really about emotion. Beyond the technical things that I like to do, I became interested in Ellis because there was a subtext of what I wanted, that I was feeling emotionally when I would sit and photograph in these empty rooms.